My wife got an STD test after attending a friend's wedding, and the moment I discovered it, I didn't hesitate for a minute before divorcing her. When people say a single moment can change your life, they're probably referring to mine. I'm still amazed at how a small piece of paper found in my wife's purse turned everything upside down. I, a 37-year-old man, married the love of my life from college 10 years ago. We'd been dating for 6 years before that, so we'd known each other for 16 years. I'll call her Dove, a 37-year-old woman. She was my classmate in college, and I truly considered her my soulmate. And she was, until a month ago when Dove's friend got married in a fairy tale wedding in Las Vegas. I was invited too but had an urgent work matter that week, so I didn't go. It was an elaborate event lasting a full week. When Dove returned, she was unusually quiet. I asked if everything was okay, and she said she was just tired from the week-long festivities. That seemed natural, so I gave her space to rest, but I started worrying when her behavior turned cold toward me. She not only became silent but also irritated with me, began ignoring me, got nervous in every conversation, and our sex life became virtually non-existent. Whenever I tried, she'd reject me saying she wasn't in the mood. And it's been almost a month since she returned with not a single intimate moment between us. And if that wasn't enough, yesterday I found something in her purse that drove me crazy. A hospital bill showing Dove had gotten an STD test the very day after returning from the wedding. It's not strange that she'd do that, but the fact that she didn't tell me makes the implication obvious. I love her unconditionally, but I'm not naive enough to ignore such a massive red flag. I'm not ready to confront her yet, but before I do, I want her to have all the info from the STD test results. I value my marriage and relationship with Dove and don't want to destroy everything on a rash impulse. Though I do feel guilty for secretly checking her phone. I went through all her chats and call logs but found nothing suspicious, and I checked her social media too with the same result. I don't know if I should feel bad for doubting her or relieved for staying alert. I thought about contacting friends who attended the wedding with Dove to verify if anything unusual happened, but it was her high school friend's wedding, so none of our college friends were involved. I'm friendly with her high school friend but not close enough to ask without Dove finding out. The situation feels strange because in our 10 years together, Dove never gave me any reason to suspect her. We'd always been completely transparent with each other. I forgot to mention something. The bill showed she'd scheduled the appointment the day after returning from the trip, but the test date listed was yesterday with results due in a week. Her behavior had been worrying me since she got back. I checked her phone a few days ago with no findings, but yesterday when Dove came home after the test, she looked exhausted and tense. I got suspicious when she carefully hid her purse in the closet, as she normally leaves it on the table or sofa. I acted like I hadn't noticed but watched her every move, and when she went to shower, I checked her purse and found the hospital bill for the STD test. Hello everyone, after reading your comments on my post, I realized I hadn't shared details about myself or Dove. I didn't think it was relevant, but I've replied to some in comments, so for everyone to know, I'll add. Dove and I graduated from the same high school. We're both software engineers working at different IT companies, and we have a 6-year-old son. Financially, we had a stable, quite comfortable life. We were a pretty happy family until she decided to ruin it all. Dove had cheated on me. Initially, I wanted to wait for the test results before saying anything, but it was eating me up inside. I couldn't take it anymore, and Dove noticed I was acting differently too. The day I posted, she even asked if I was okay, and I just nodded and faked a smile. She thought maybe I was reacting to her strange behavior. So a day after my post, we sat down for dinner, and as we started eating, Dove asked again if I was alright. I nodded yes, but after a while I couldn't hold it in and blurted out, "How was your STD test?" She looked shocked and I repeated, "Yes, that STD test you got a few days ago." She went pale and asked how I'd found out. I said it didn't matter, then she uttered the classic line, "I can explain." I stared at her and told her to explain everything. She sighed, took a deep breath while I watched patiently. She started crying, and as she sobbed, my heart sank. I knew my suspicions were confirmed. She grabbed my hand and begged me to believe her. I said I'd only believe her if she told the truth. But instead of speaking, she scooted her chair closer, leaned on my shoulder, gripped my arms tightly and cried. I let her express her emotions since in our 16 years together, I'd never seen her cry, not even lightly. I used to hug and cheer her up, but this time I stayed still. She tried getting closer and holding my arms harder, but I didn't reciprocate and remained cold as ice. Finally, when she stopped crying, she let go and confessed everything. Of course, it happened during her friend's bachelorette trip. The first 2 days of the week-long wedding celebrations in Las Vegas were a bachelorette party, and the organizer had arranged strippers, male escorts, and more. She said the bride and other friends enjoyed all the services from day one, but Dove resisted. Her friends pressured her, but she held out. She saw the bride and others having fun fulfilling fantasies with the escorts but restrained herself. I'd normally believe her since she's never been a liar, but this time it was hard to trust fully, so I asked if she did it because she felt out of place. She said the bride convinced her that in 16 years she'd never been with another man and needed to try something new. Her friends explained how the escorts used various techniques for unconventional pleasures. Dove still resisted, but the bride talked her into an intimate massage, and she finally gave in to peer pressure, thinking a massage wouldn't count as cheating and would get her friends off her back. However, the masseur was an escort, and after the back massage, he started undressing her completely. She resisted, but he said it was part of the intimate massage, so she went along. She confessed she lost control during it and gave in. One thing led to another, and she was unfaithful to me, but that wasn't all. When Dove told her friends about the masseur encounter, they encouraged her to explore more, insisted it would stay confidential, and assured her I'd never find out. Dove figured she'd already cheated once, so there was no point resisting further, and she decided to live out her ultimate fantasy. Honestly, I was glad she confessed everything. I knew I wouldn't forgive her even if it was just once. I just sat there lifeless, trying to process what Dove had done. I knew my life was about to change, and the woman in front of me was the love of my life, so her betrayal hurt so deeply. Dove urged me to say something since I hadn't spoken a word. I buried my face in my palms, and she tried taking my hand to lift my face, but I resisted. Finally, when I looked at her, I said I was filing for divorce. She was in shock and said I shouldn't make a rash decision because we have a son. I yelled at her to stop faking concern for our child and family. If she'd cared at all, she wouldn't have done it. I grabbed my car keys and left the house. She tried following, but I pushed her away and drove to my friend's place. He lives alone and recently divorced, but that's another story, and I drank until I passed out. The next morning, I called in sick to work. My friend went to the office while I stayed on his couch searching for divorce lawyers and found one who was my high school classmate. He was on my Instagram, so I messaged him. He replied in a couple hours. I asked for a call. He saw the urgency and desperation in my messages and called back in 30 minutes. His next appointment was in 4 days, but since he knew me, he asked if I could meet late after work, and I agreed immediately. Instead of his office, he suggested meeting for drinks, so the night after Dove confessed, the next morning I was sitting with my lawyer discussing divorce. He asked me to reflect and see if emotions settled. I said I was making this decision consciously, conveyed my terms, ensured he'd start paperwork immediately, and asked him to expedite because I wanted it over fast. Anyone hearing me would think it was impulsive, but it wasn't. I loved Dove, but not more than my dignity. I told him I trusted her with my life, and if I was doing this, it was seriously grave. I can't let her get away with cheating on me. The next day, I went home in the afternoon thinking she'd be at work, but she was there. She'd become miserable in recent days. As soon as she saw me, she ran over, tried hugging me, asking where I'd been for 2 days and why I wasn't answering calls or messages. I wanted to push her away, but she looked so pale and fragile I couldn't. I let her hug me but didn't touch her back and stayed rigid. She kept apologizing, but I remained stoic. She cupped my face in her hands, saying my silence was killing her. I asked about our son. She said she'd left him with my parents for a few days. I pulled away, went to the bedroom, locked the door knowing she wouldn't let me pack if she entered, grabbed clothes, my laptop, tablet and essentials, then rushed out while she was in the kitchen. She followed furiously trying to stop me, but I didn't look back and drove off. I checked into a hotel, then went to my parents to see my son. I wanted to tell them everything but held back because I had another plan. It's been almost a week since. I'm working from the hotel and got permission to remote this month. Dove has tried contacting me every way, calls, texts, voicemails, showing up at work, searching at friends' houses and my usual bars. Today a mutual friend called to check if I was okay. He said Dove had been looking all over town for me and I asked if she told him why. He said to whoever she asked, Dove claimed I'd left after a big fight. I told him I was fine but needed time to cool off. A few hours ago, I called my lawyer to proceed with divorce papers. He assured me they'd come in the next few days and I'm still waiting. Do you think I've done the right thing? What would you do in my situation?